and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be showing you my stretching routine, my mobility routine, which I do before my workout to kind of warm up my muscles up and make sure that my mobility is on point so that I don't injure myself during the workout, and then also how I stretch to be able to do the splits. So yeah, that's what this video is, how to do the splits, kind of how I stay limber while I'm working out, and it's kind of a very basic sort of set of stretches that I've recorded to show you, because I think that this is nice because anyone can kind of do these. I think these are like the beginner level stretches, and if you can't quite do all of the stretches, you'll be able to kind of half do them. Even if you can't reach all the way down on a stretch, this is still the basic stretch, and you can work towards kind of getting these stretches. And once these are all perfect and you can do the splits, I will make a more advanced video on further stretching, because I mean, apart from the increased mobility and the reduction to maybe possibly getting an injury during your workout, I think there's so many other things that are cool about being flexible. Doing the splits is fun, and being flexible in other aspects is fun, and it kind of just adds a bit more pizzazz to your routine. Instead of just weight training or doing cardio all the time, it's nice to have a bit of a well-rounded set of skills that you have, so that you're good at a bit of everything. And I think that's a bit more fun, because I'm not the best at anything by any means. I'm not fantastic at anything, but I'm good at a lot of things, and I think that that is fun. So firstly, I'm not a gymnastics coach, I'm not a flexibility coach. All of this is self-taught. All of this is stuff that I've either learned from other people or that I've learned from the internet, that I've researched myself. Secondly, I have no idea what the names of any of these stretches are. It's kind of just the bendy over your leg, twisting around and stretch and pull, and that one. Like, I really don't know the names of any, so kind of my descriptions of these are very bizarre. Like, maybe I'll show you, this is how I've described the exercises, because I kind of just do them from memory. So this is how I've like described everything. Lie on ground stretch, knee to side, kick side to side. Like, I'm so basic, I tried, but anyway. We'll start with my mobility routine, which is what I do before I do my workout. This is what I kind of do to stretch my whole body and make sure that I'm nice and just stretch out for my workout. This first one you can either do with a resistance band or with a broomstick like I'm using. And basically this is just to mobilize your shoulders. This is just to stretch them out, so you kind of just grip a little bit further than shoulder width apart, or wider if you're not that flexible, and kind of just put the bar to your bum, back round to your front, to your bum, back round to your front. And then the second one here with the broomstick again is the figure 8, which is a little bit more confusing when you like first see it. It looks a bit bizarre, but then when you know how to do it, it's kind of really easy. So you're just holding one hand in place, so your left hand in place, and then you're bringing your right arm up and around it and back, and then when your right arm is behind your back, then you're pulling your left arm up and doing the same thing with that, and kind of just going in a figure 8. And then the next one is you hold the broomstick on your back, and just where your shoulders are, just where your shoulder muscles are, and you twist from side to side, but you keep your hips locked. You don't want to move your hips, you're just kind of moving your back, you're kind of stretching your back out. If you're moving out the hips, that's completely taking away the whole point of doing the stretch. So you put the broomstick away. So after you finish with the broomstick, what you're going to do is you're going to lie on the ground, and you're going to pull one knee over, keep the other leg straight, and pull that knee to the side whilst you keep your other leg straight. And this is going to stretch out your back. This is like your lower back. This is probably one of my favourite stretches. It just feels so nice when you kind of pull your... oh, I love it. And then the next stretch is bring both your knees together, and you're kind of flip-flopping back side to side, and you're lying on your back, knees together, to the left, to the right, using your core to do this. And this again is just another great stretch for your back. And then again, for your back, what you're going to do is you're going to do a kick side to side. So you keep one leg straight, and then you kick the other leg round straight, and kind of try and touch your hand with your toes. That's where you're aiming. You're going to try and bring your foot up as close as you can to your hands. And each time you kick left and right, you want to get as closer and closer as you can to your hands. So you want to kind of be kicking higher and higher up because you want to be stretching as you are doing this. The next one is the downward dog into seal. So this is just a basic yoga pose, and it's the downward dog. This is just a really good pose to stretch out your whole body, and what you want to do with this is take 3 breaths with each pose. So take 3 breaths in and out when you're in the downward dog, and then as you move into seal, 3 breaths in and out. And then we're going to move on from this and go from a downward dog into not a seal but like a really wide lunge. So it's as though you're going to go back into the seal, but you're bringing one foot right in front of you and just doing a very, very big wide lunge. So the next one is you're going to want to bring one knee right up to your chest, and you're sitting on your bum, knee up to chest, and then you're going to bring the elbow of that is opposite to the knee that you've got up. So if you've got your left knee up, you want to get your right elbow and you want to put that on the outside of your elbow, and you just want to reach around as far as you can. You want to try and twist your body as far as it'll go. This is another one just to stretch the back out. And then this one is a little bit tricky. I thought I'll put it in here because I think it's a great stretch, but I do think it's a little bit more advanced because it requires balance. And what you want to do at the end of these is start holding it for a couple of seconds. So do about 10 for each leg, and then when you've done 10, moving left to right, hold for a couple of seconds and then move back over. So this next stretch is a good morning into a squat. That's how I've described it. So you basically stand up straight with your feet slightly apart so that are about shoulder width apart or a little bit wider, and then you're going to kind of take a full morning stance. You're going to go bend, hinge at the hips, and when you've hinged at the hips and you're in a good morning, you're then going to bend your knees, I guess. Yeah, you're bending your knees. And then you're going to go into a squat, and then you're going to straighten your knees out again, and then you're going to unhinge at the hips so you're standing up. And it's basically just a movement composed of 2 hinges. So firstly you're hinging at the hips, then you're hinging at the knees, and this is just a really, really good mobilizing exercise. And the next is just a basic lunge. So lunge with your left leg and then with your right leg, but when you've done that lunge for a few seconds and you've held it, you're going to pull up your opposite foot. So the foot that's behind you, instead of just letting that sit on the floor, you're going to hold it, and that's going to stretch the quad out that's behind you. And this is just a really, really, really good stretch. So this last stretch looks ridiculous. This last stretch looks, it's not okay. When you look at somebody doing the stretch, you're just thinking, are you okay? Like, do you need some help? Do you want somebody to take you home? Honestly, I've got a phone. Do you want to phone someone? But honestly, this is probably the best stretch that you can do. It is just bloody amazing and it works wonders. It is a fabulous stretch. So it's called frog pumps. So what you want to do is start with your knees slightly far apart, and you basically humping the floor. There's no other way to describe it. I'll show you. So yeah, you're gonna kind of come back as far as you can without hurting yourself, and then go into hump the floor, come back, and then after you've done that about 10 times, you're going to take your stance closer. So you're going to bring your knees closer together, because this means you can come further back and further forward, so it gives you more mobility in the movement. Do these a few times close together, and then you can go out into a further stance again with your knees really wide apart. And basically the more you do it, the more you go in and out, the further you'll be able to stretch, and your inner thighs will be really stretched out. It is fab. So that is my mobility routine. So that is what I do before a workout, pretty much every workout that I can. If I don't have enough time, obviously I'll have to skip it out if I'm doing kind of a light workout, if I'm doing a cardio based workout, or if I'm not doing anything that is too strenuous on the muscles, I'll kind of leave that out because I don't deem it necessary if I've literally got 30 minutes to train. And that can take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes depending on how speedy you are. And I'd recommend holding everything for as long as you are comfortable to hold it. The longer you hold, the better. And if you hold each pose dynamically, so if you don't just stay in the stretch, if you kind of move around within that stretch, forward, backwards, deeper, more shallow into the stretch, you'll be able to get just such a better stretch and kind of just like falling into a lunge staying there for 2 seconds, being like, cool, getting out of the lunge. That's really not going to get you anywhere. You need to kind of work with your body and see with what makes your body more flexible and what doesn't. And next we have my stretching routine, which is the stretches that I do to get better at the splits, pretty much. These are the ones that kind of stretch the good old Legos out and kind of either help you to do the splits or gain more flexibility within that. So the first one, there's a few variations of these, and the first one is you kind of bring one foot to your crotch and stretch the other one out in a diagonal sort of way and lean over, and hold your feet in different ways. Lean over so it's a side stretch, lean over so your stomach is touching your knee. Just do a few different variations so that you're kind of stretching every kind of possible angle of your body that you can. So once you've done these, do it to the front. So instead of putting your leg out diagonally, put your leg out in front of you and pull and hold. And then once you've done that, a little bit more of an advanced way to do this stretch is by, instead of tucking your foot into your crotch, is actually bending your leg under. So it's kind of almost like you're sitting on your knees, but if that knee goes out diagonally one way and then in your other leg you lean over, and this is basically the same stretch, just a few different ways. So there is no muscle that has not been stretched with these variety of the same stretch. The next one is the forward fold, which is probably my favourite stretch. I just like to hold it for 30 seconds sometimes and just kind of sit there and kind of like enjoy my life, just upside down, and just think about things. It is a really good stretch. And if you can't cuddle yourself, if you can't cuddle behind your legs flat, and if you can't get far down, start with touching your fingers to the floor. If your fingers can touch the floor, that's great. If they can't, as close to the floor as possible. Once you are a master at that, then try and touch your feet. And then every time you do it, just kind of try and get a little bit closer to your ankle, and then see if you can kind of cuddle your legs. Even if you can't get too straight to your legs, just inch and inch every time you go to the gym, and eventually you'll be doing it. And then for your inner thighs, we've got the straddle. So you do a straddle with your legs and then you reach forward as far as you can. And I like to grab my feet, because I think when I grab my feet, I can get my chest to touch the ground. I think it's a better straddle stretch, but everybody has a different way of doing them. If you don't think my ways of stretching are great or work for you, then just try and adapt them to your body and how far you can go. The next stretch is where your feet are quite wide apart. You grab your hands behind your back and you just kind of fling them over. Well, don't fling them over because that would probably be dangerous. But you kind of bend forward and like hinging at the hips, and you pull your arms over your head. This does stretch your chest and your shoulders a bit, but I do think that it is great for stretching the back of your legs. That's typically where I feel it when I do this. The next stretch is kind of a half split. So this is the one where it looks like you're doing the splits, but you don't have the front leg stretched out in front of you. So you basically fold your front leg in half and kind of put your foot next to your crotch. You take your other leg and you put it out behind you. And then you can either sit up in that, or you can lean forward to the floor. I lean forward to the floor because I think it gives a better stretch in the glute. And then you also can do a variation of this, and the variation is the secret magic trick. So normally when you do this, you would bend your leg and you would have your foot touching your crotch near enough. What you have to do to get that stretch in that glute is bring your leg out to a 45-degree angle. If your leg is in a 45-degree angle, when you lean forward in the stretch, ooh, the stretch in your glute, you will not believe. It is something. So that is basically what you have to do to kind of stretch out the glute, which is kind of where you are going to get the splits from. So yeah, it's kind of the minor movements and everything which kind of helps you progress and get more flexible. Doing one stretch is fine. Doing that stretch in 5 or 6 different angles with a lot of dynamic movement and spending 3 minutes on that stretch instead of 20 seconds is exactly how you're going to get to doing the splits. So the next one is lunges. So basically, again, here are just some lunges and me doing some adjustments with these lunges so that I'm stretching as many possible angles of my legs as I possibly can in a simple movement. And yeah, so that's really all it is. And this last one is my absolute all-time favorite glute stretch. This stretch is just amazing, and it looks like you're doing nothing. It looks like you're just lying in the gym having a nice time, chilling, just kind of sleeping on your phone, but you are actually giving your bum a world of pain. So what you need to do is wiggle up as close as you can with your bum to the wall, so you're lying at the wall with your bum touching the wall if you can. And then you're going to bring one foot up so that it is on the wall, as though you were going to push yourself away from the wall with your feet. But what you're actually going to do is bring that other leg up that isn't on the wall, and you're going to put your ankle about just below your knee. Holding your foot at this angle stretches the glute that you pulled around and put the foot underneath the knee of. That glute is going to get stretched. The closer you are to the wall, the more stretch you get on the glute. And that is it. That is my stretches that I do to progress at doing the splits, how I learned to do the splits, and just the stretches that I use to mobilize, and everything else on that matter. I'm going to pop in a few clips of just miscellaneous things that I do in my stretching sessions that you might want to try and like copy off. And there's nothing special with these, they're just something that I did on the day, and I don't really think that they fitted in with the rest of the theme, but they might be useful to some people, so I'll just pop them in a couple of minutes. But if this was interesting to you and you would like to see some more advanced stretches and kind of just get more things to do in your like stretching time at the gym, because stretching is probably my favorite part of the session because it's so chilled, you get a chance to breathe and really talk to yourself, listen to some good music, and just you're not strained in the same way you are lifting. I think you're really in the zone when you're lifting weights, and this is a nice time to relax, and that's my favorite thing about the gym, is being relaxed. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a comment telling us what you liked about it. I love reading your comments, and also leave a like because that's really helpful for me and that makes me feel so loved. And I'll see you next time. Bye!